Hello everyone, good day and welcome to the Academy for Digital Learning and Mastery, also called ADLM Studio. In this tutorial video, we'll continue from the last session, which is how to make use of the ADLM Planswift plugin. So during the last session, we were able to cover for substructure, that's for pad and strip foundation. Today we'll be looking at the next stage of work, which is the frames. So how to measure for column, beam, and slab. That's what we'll be covering in today's session. This session will be making use of a structural drawing where we have all details provided by a structural engineer. Now what we just have to do here is make use of the ADLM plugin for our quantity takeoff for concrete reinforcement and formwork, which is under column, beam, and slab. This will be a very interesting one, and kindly like this video and subscribe to this channel because I'll be posting more videos like this regularly on how to make use of various BIM softwares. Okay, so now to make use of the plugin, once you have your plugin loaded in, you will always see it on this templates and parts input here. You always see it right here. So once you just see it here, let's go to the page where we have our column details. Now this is the column layout plan, where each of these dots here is the columns that we have on the drawing. Now we have a column schedule over here in the next page here. So this column schedule will also help us during our measurement because we have the column based on different name. We have column CA1, A2, and A3, A4 across bird. So basically this drawing is going to help you with the measurements of the columns in this building. So for the sake of this video, not to make it too long and boring and all, I'll already cover for the first 4 columns. So you can always, it's still the same principle for every other kind of columns you're going to have in your building. So just take note of the column schedule, which is the details, that's the column and the number of the column. If you check the column layouts here on this page, you see the names A1, A3, A1. So all these columns are all named. So that's why it is from this layout that we generate the schedule of columns. Okay. Now the first thing you do is come to this template part, come down to frames. Now we have our column, which is what we'll be dealing with first. Just click on the plus sign here, then you see the drop down for the various columns. Now we have the concrete in column base and the normal concrete in column. So this is what we're making use of the concrete in column here. We just turn on this green mark here. Before we do that, I just like to zoom in a bit so I can see the details clearer. Okay. Now what you do here is for this column concrete here, just turn this on. So that's concrete in column. Now how many? This number here is the number of this column that we have here. So we have 8 of this, that's 8 columns. And the length is 230 by 450. That's the length and the width of this column. So that is 0.23, because this is in meters, and 0.45. That's the column details here. And to request for the thickness, that's the height of this column. So from this point here to this point, we have the total height. That's the base of the beam. So this is where our roof beam of quarter for. So the drawing specified from the ground floor slab to the base of the beam. That's the height of the column. That's 3.6 meters. Then from the base of the beam to the next floor slab, that's the first floor slab, we have 600 mm. So that's the thickness of the beam. So here we're only done with the height of the beam, the column itself. Here, that's 3.6 meters. 3.6 meters. Then we have the drop down here. If you have some other drop, if the one you need is not here, you can just type it in directly. Then okay. So what you just do now is just click. Once you click, you have the quantity of this here as 3.0 cubic meters. Now for this column, now you know from this point to this point is 3.6, right? And it is the same, that's the same section of 230 by 450. Now from this point up here also is the same, that's 3.6. So now we have from just this floor that has a different arrangement to it. That's 3.1 or so. That's on the 3rd floor. But on the last floor here, for the column concrete, see the column is from the base to the bottom of the roof beam. That's 3.6 also. So we have 3.6. This dimension of column 1, 2, 3. We have 3 of that here, right? So that will be 8 numbers of this column in 3 places. So just double click on this. That will be 8 times 3. The asterisk sign shift 8. That's this asterisk sign. So that'll be 8 times 3 of this. Okay. And we have 8.9 cubic. Now, also, you notice something here. For this column here, we have 8, we have 2, we have 3, and we have 7. All these columns here, 1, 2, 3, 4, they're all the same, like in terms of the cross section. That's the 230 by 450, 230 by 450, and 230 by 450. So they are similar columns. Now the numbers here is 8, 2, 3, 7. So you add up all of this. So what I do here is you add everything together. First, that will be 8 plus 2 plus 3 plus 7. You can do your manual calculator. That will be 10. That was total of 20, right? So total of this is just 20. I'm going to calculate manually. So that will be 20 times 3, because you have 20 numbers in 3 places. I just type in 20 times 3. Okay. So you have the total volume of concrete. See, in just how many seconds you're able to cover for all of this. Now, once you measure for concrete, let's measure for this third floor here. And that's because it's the same across both. That's the same height of this. But we know from this point to this bottom of slab is 3.55. From this point to the bottom of slab is 3.55. So we have to measure from here down here. So what I'll do is come to my dimension tool. Oh, the page is not scaled. Let me clear up, scale the page. So that was scale. That's 3.6. Always don't forget to scale your page. It's very, very important. That's from this point down to this point. It should be the first thing you should always do. 20 to 30. Okay. I like doing vertical and horizontal scale. It makes me more or less assured. Okay. Now once you're done with this, you can always change the font size of this. And coming down to view, adjust dimension, and change this to 0.3. You can always change the colors to black in case you're going to be presenting your quantity takeoff sheet. Okay, once you're done with that dimension, so it's still 3.6. I'm to have 3.6 across all the floors, and I checked through the architectural drawing, is 3.6 across all floors. So that's just times 4 instead of times 3. Just change it to times 4, and we're good. Okay. So this has covered for all of those columns, like all the columns on this page, as easy as that. Now, most of you will be like, okay, what's your reinforcement and all? Because I'm sure that's where many people will be actually anxious for reinforcement. Okay, now for this reinforcement here, we have the reinforcement details here showing us 6 numbers of Y20 on this floor, 6 numbers of Y20 on this floor, 6 numbers of Y20, and 6 numbers of Y20, right? Going across all the floors. Now, what I do is, since I don't really have much of an extra that will be coming over the roof beam, so I'll keep my reinforcement from the ground floor down to the second floor. Okay, so what I do now is, at this stage, you come back to reinforcement. That's the Y20. You have the Y20 reinforcement on that column. Just turn this on. Now, numbers of floors, I have 1, 2, 3. That's 3 floors. Now, the numbers of bars, that's 6 bars. Then the column height is 3.6. Now plus the extra, we have the 0.6, that's from the bottom beam to the slab, that's 0.6. Plus, can I have your extra that will join the other floors to it? Let's just say extra 0.8. Now this is just 3 floors. So you have to number of this column, that will be 8 numbers of this column times 3 floors. That will be 8 times 3 floors. Okay. And just pick this. Once you put the dot sign, stop. We have this already here. So that is 1.78 tons. That's 1788 kg kilogram. See, it's there, units is there. So that's what the advantage of using this plugin. Now, for this column now, we have a similar one here. That's column CH3. They have similar dimensions, 230 by 450. That's similar cross section, similar numbers of bars, and all. So what we do here is just very simple. Now this is 8 numbers for this, and this is 3. That's 8 plus 3. That's 11. So that will be 11 times 3. That's 11 columns times 3 floors. Okay. Now we have our quantity here perfectly. Now once we're done with that, I'll move to the next stage, which is the next column. Yeah. Well, let me do the next floor here, which is this floor. That's the last floor, the third floor. What I'll do is just click on this again. It's just one floor in, that's 8 plus 3, that's 11 times 1. Yeah. Okay. The numbers of bars is still 6 bars. You just impute the empty space. Leave the space that are filled, leave it. Just impute the empty space. The height is still 3.6. Now the extra here is just from the roof beam also, that's 0.6 plus, let's say we have a 0.3 bend or 0.5 bend. It's a 0.3. That's the bend, this bend here. Then okay, then pick. So for our Y20, we have this two, and we're done with that already. Now, moving to the next stage, we have the Y25 bars. Now that is for the cross section of the CA2 and CA4. You see, for the CA2, we have the 25 mm bar, 16, 25, 16 mm across buds to the last floor. While for the CA4, we have the 16, 20, then 4, 20, 16, 20 also. So we have 16, 25 here and 16, 20 here. So what I'll do is first I'll pick my 16 at once. So we have the 2 of this and we have 7 of this, which makes it 9 in total, right? So for my Y16, I'll come back to Y16 over here. Turn this on for Y16. Numbers of floors, I remember it's still my 3 floors, but this is now 7 plus 2, that's 9 times 3, right? The numbers of bars should be 2 this time around. Specified, say 2. Okay, then 3.6 should be the height. Then the extra, that's the beam, 0.6 plus 0.8. Okay, so once you've done that, okay, you just click. So you've covered for the 2 columns and 3 floors. Yeah, as easy as that. The next part is the roof part. Yeah, so that's just turn this on back. That'll be 9 times 1. And the road numbers here is still 2. We have 2 of that. Then 3.6. The extra is the roof beam. That's 0.6 plus 0.3. As easy as this. Okay, and we're done. Yeah, we're done. Okay, now once you're done with that, we'll pick for the next one, which is the Y25. For the Y25, just come down right here to Y25, turn this on. So once you have this turned on, still 9 times 3 floors. Well, now we're dealing with Y25, so we have 4 numbers of this bar. The height should be 3.6 standard height, then that will be 0.6 plus 0.8. Okay, so I'm covering for this now. One thing, this is supposed to be 2, not 9. My bad, because this is 2 of Y25, and the next one, which is 7, is Y20. They should be 2 and not 9. So just double click on this. Numbers of floors, that will be 2 numbers of that column times 3 floors. Okay, now I have my quantity here also. I can just do for the last one, which is the roofing floor here. Just turn this on. That's for 2 numbers of floors times 1, obviously. Yeah, then the roof numbers, that's number, that's 4. The height should be 3.6, and the extra, which is the roofing, 0.6 plus 0.3. So once you're done with this, okay, and this. So that's 4 and 16. Once you're done, we'll move into the next stage of this beam. So for the next part here, that's for this column here. So that's for Y20. Just come back here, turn this on for Y20. So numbers of floors, that's still 3 floors, and we have 7. So that'll be 7 times 3 this extent. Then we have 4 of that bar. Then the column item means 3.6. The extra is 0.6 plus 0.8. Okay, I just single click. That's for the Y20. Then we have to come back to the next top floor here. That's the roof floor. Now we're moving to the next stage, which is for the measurement of the column in roof beam reinforcement. That's this third floor column. All do now is to pick the Y20. See it's Y20 bar that is here. All you do just run this Y20 on. So number of floors, remember it's just 1 floors and we have 7 numbers. That's 7 times 1. Okay. Then the number of bars is 4. The height still remains 3.6. But the roof beam thickness, that's 0.6 plus 0.3. That's for the bend. Okay, then just turn this on. So you successfully measured for your concrete and reinforcement in these columns here, based on the design by the structural engineer. Now, once you're done with this and you want to check what you've done so far, you can come to the takeoff summary here. Takeoff summary, we have concrete in column, for all of this column. We have formwork in column. So it measured the formwork for us automatically. That's the meter square. Then we have the reinforcements. All of these reinforcements are all here. Now, I'm sure many of you will be like, okay, I only measured for the straight bars. I did not measure for the links, right? No worries. What you do now is come to this links as per here. When you get to this links, you have to put the diameter. Yeah, this is the part where you put the pictures of your links. Because this links may vary from design to design. So that's why you have the option of putting the pictures of the links here. So for the diameter of the links, you have, let's say we're using 10 bars. It was not specifically stated here, but we'll be using 10. Then the cover, that's this normal cover, that's 0.05. Then the length of the link, that's 0.23. The length of the width of the link, that's 0.45 based on the design. Then the bend, that's the overlap, that's 0.15. That's on 5 overlap across. That's the 5 overlap, that's 0.1, that's 150 addition. Then the spacing should be 0.2. Now, number of floors for this first one now. No, this is the first, that's for the 8 and 3 numbers, that's 11 numbers. Remember, this is for 11 numbers across 3 floors. That will be 11 times 3. We have 3 floors, 1, 2, 3. Then we have 11 numbers of that. That's for the Y20. Remember, okay. And that's all for that. Okay. So you have the weight of the Y10. That's the links. Now for the next one also, which is the Y20. This is for the roof level. So that's the third floor level rather. So that will be 10. The cover is 0.05. The length is 0.23, 0.45. And the overlap, that's been 0.15. The spacing still remains 0.2. The number of floors now, remember it's just 1 floor times 11 numbers. Okay, we have that for this. That's how you go about for the remaining columns. Now for this Y16, remember Y16 covers for 2 types of column. That's for this and this column, right? That's CA2 and CA4. And since they are similar, that will just still be Y10. Cover still be 0.05. The length is 0.23 and the width is 0.45, right? Then for the bend is 0.15. Now the spacing still remains 0.2. And number of floors now. Remember this Y16. If we are going to do the links for Y16, we are not going to measure links for Y25 because they are still within the same range. They are still the same column details. Only the Y25 is different from the Y16. So the number of straight bars doesn't affect. It's just to know the number of those links that will go across the vertical height. I hope you get. So that's why this time around, I'll just be doing for both of them. That will be 2 plus 7. That will be 9 times 3 because it's affecting these 2 columns. So links will go across. You know the same links that hold the 16 bar, that will still hold the 25 bar. The links will just go across. See the design here. See, this design is just a single link that's going across. You can see all of this. This is just a single link going across, holding the bars together. So this is just a single link. So if this either can be the Y16s and this can be the Y25s. This can be Y25s and this can be Y16. It does not still affect your entire design. Still the same principle. Okay. So that's for the columns right here. That's from the ground floor down to third floor. So that's for that. Then we go to the next one here, which is the third floor. Yeah. Or just double click for this. Then diameter is still 10 mm bars. The cover is 0.05. The length is 0.23. The width is 0.45. The bend is 0.15. The spacing 0.2. Number of floors now. Since we're adding 7 and 2, that will be 9 times 1. This is just one floor. Okay. So we have our quantities for all of this here. So this is everything for your. Remember, we're not doing for 25 and 20 anymore because 16 has covered across every floors. Now, this is how you measure for your concrete, reinforcement, and formwork. For columns, you see, in less than how many minutes you're able to cover close to 20 columns. That is how you go about it. Now, most of you will be like, oh, okay, this is too scattered and jam-packed and all, and how would we get it to a single file? Now, I'll come to reports. On this report sheet here, this is the takeoff so far. So go down to, remember this was for column base from last session. You can refer back to the last video, as I'll leave the link in the description below for the last video on how to measure for substructures. So that was how we got this existing ones here. Now this is what we did today. That's the column links. The total for column links is this. That's 1.28 tons. Now for your columns itself, that's the formwork in column. This is the formwork in column over here. Then the columns, concrete in column. Okay, this is a Y25 total, Y20 total, Y16 total. So you see that added up every of this for you. So you don't have to stress 25, 20, 16. All of this is already on your report sheet, all added up for you. So you don't have to stress on how you start adding and all. Or just have to just type this in your bill of quantities. And that's all. So whatever your bill format is, no matter which country you are preparing your bill from, as long as you have your quantities, that's all. You just maintain your bill format and just input those quantities. And in less than how many minutes, you'll be done. Okay. So that covers for the columns. Now let's move to the next item of work, which is the beam. Now for the beam, we have our beam layout here, which is a very big one. Obviously, I'm trying to use this for example. Now check the next page here, where we have our beam details. So this says the beam top bars we have 16 and bottom we have 20. So we have 2 up and 2 down. That means we have 4 bars across our beam. So 16 up, 20 down. That's for the beam section. And the size of the beam is 230 by 600. 230 by 600, 230 by 600. And this is the reinforcement arrangement, right? Now, for this case, we'll first pick for the entire beam area. So just come back to our frames here. For beams, click on the drop down. Now, we have the first one, which is a concrete in beam. So you just turn this on here. Once it's turned on, just turn concrete in beam. Now, if you have different sections of beam, let's say you have a 230 beam by 600 and you have a 230 by 450 beam. I just type concrete in beam in bracket. Size of the beam, that's 230 by 600. So the numbers of floors here. Now this is going across 3 floors, right? That will be 3 numbers of floors. The width of the beam is 0.23. The thickness is 0.6. So we'll pick from the first point, which is here. What you just have to do in this kind of situation is you follow the beam layout. Now you see the beam, so you see the thickness there. See it fits directly. That means the beam is 230 and our scale is correct for this page. And let's make sure you scale your page before working. See your page is, that means the scale is correct. That's how you would go around for every of your beam in the building. Just follow the beam layout. Thank God, that's why you have the beam plan, and you just have to follow the beam layout to trace it across. For this session, I will just be covering for the external beam, just for you to get how this plugin one works. All you basically have to do is just follow your beam layout and make sure you avoid overlap. Try and avoid overlap, because whatever overlap that will be here will be an extra cost. I hope you understand. So you're trying to manage cost as much as possible, and you're trying to be as accurate as possible in your build preparation. So always make sure there's no overlap so that your costs can be well managed during the course of planning this project. So no matter the build format and all, just basically use this. Okay, once you're done with this, I've picked my beam. I have a total of 315.6 cubic meters. You see it here. So that is for the volume of concrete that will be here. Now, I'll come back to my takeoff summary here. Now, you see under this concrete in beam here, you see reinforcement in beam, right? For the reinforcement in beam, just double click. Now, I just have to put my rod number. From the rod number here, that's for B is bottom. That I have 2 bottom from what I showed you earlier. Then the diameter is for 20 mm diameter down, while for the diameter top, that's 10 mm down, 16 mm diameter on top, and the number of that 2 is 2. So you have 2 up and 2 down, right? Now for the extra, now the extra here, that's, let's just make it 1.2. Bent on you actually, and just click OK. So you have 18.55 tons. That's for the total reinforcement in this beam for 3 floors. Remember, it's for 3 floors, not just 1 floor. Now for the formwork in beam, just number of floors, just type in 3 floors. Okay. So you've got that already. Then for the beam links, for the links, that's the Y10 bars. Diameter. Now, see, initially it's 230 by 600. The software already knows that your beam here is 230 by 600. Now, the diameter of the beam will be 10 mm diameter. The cover now is 0.05. Once you do that, it removes the cover immediately. Then the bend is 0.15. That's the overlap. Then the spacing 0.2. Number of floors to remain 3 floors. Okay. Then okay. So you have your total links here. That's 10.3 tons of Y10 that would cover for the entire 3 floors of this project. So that is how you'd go about for the beam. That is for these floors. I know we've not picked the vertical. We only went just the external and horizontals. If you pick vertical, or you have more than this as your quantities. Okay. So once you're done with that, that's how for beam. Go to the next point here, which is the slab. Now we'll go to our slab layout. Okay, so this is what we use for our slab layout. You can use this, or you can use any of the beam layout or the column layout for slab layout. Basically, your choice. Let me just use this column layout here. What I'll do first is to scale the page as 6 as my reference point in 4.23. Okay, so once you're done with the scale, just come back to frames, slab. For concrete, just turn this on for concrete here. Concrete in slab. Now for the numbers, that's for 3 floors. The thickness is 150, that's 0.15. Once you're done with that, okay, then you can now pick from this endpoint. You have to cover for the entire slab of the building. And this point, to cover for the entire slab. Stop. So the total volume of concrete is this. That's 1,680 cubic meters of concrete. That's what we'll be making use of for this project. Now, after you've measured for that, let's now measure for our reinforcement. Now for reinforcement here, what I'll do is I'll divide this drawing into 3 sections or 4 because we don't have a reinforcement schedule yet. So what we'll do first is pick on your dimension tool. You pick from this point down to this point. Then you pick from this point down to this point. So you do the same for all sides. So like what I'm doing here is I'm breaking this design into sections. Okay, now once I'm done with this, stop. Now, one more thing before I proceed. Let's say you want to remove for this staircase region and this lift floor region from this volume of concrete. What you do is right click, subtract. Once you click on subtract, you pick from this point down to this point. Just make sure you pick for just that area alone and to subtract that for you see it's now white. Same for this here, right click, you subtract, you pick from this point here. That's for the lift base. So you can do that for all of the lift base you have in your design here. We have one more here. That way you're able to remove all of the openings and you avoid over measurement. See how precise it can be. Let's move subtract, yeah. Make sure you have an external mouse. If you're using your trackpad, most of this can be easy because I use my mouse wheel to scroll and move around like this. So if you have an external mouse, you would struggle to go around all of this. Now, once you're done with this, what you have to do now is to measure for your reinforcement. I'll pick from this point here. Now for the reinforcement, now we know there will be use of Y12 across, basically Y12. That's what we're making use here of here. So we have on 3 floors. Diameter is Y12, that's 12 mm diameter. Spacing is 0.175. Now this has an option of top and bottom. If it's just top alone, use 1. If it's top and bottom, use 2. But it's just top alone, so I'm using 1. Then the short side is this, that's 37.37, while my long side is 37.56. That's this side, 37.56. That's all. Okay, and just click stop. So I have my reinforcement for this across 3 floors. Now same goes for this part also. That's for this, just turn this on. Reinforcement, the numbers is 3 floors, 12 mm diameter bars. Spacing is 0.175. Top and bottom, just top alone. The short side is 32.65. While the long side is 49.61. Okay, and boom, you have this already. Now for the last, the third one here also, let's turn this on. It's still 3 floors. Then the size is 12. The spacing is 0.175. Then the top and bottom, that's 1. Because it's just top. Then the short side here is 14.91 and the long side is 37.61. Once I'm done with that, okay, boom. And the last one down here, that's this region. That will be 3 floors, 12 mm diameter bars. Spacing is 0.175. Top and bottom, that's 1. The short side is 9.93. while the long side is 12.41. Okay, boom, stop. So you have all of this for your concrete and reinforcement. Now just come down to takeoff summary. So you see your formwork to edges as measured, and the formwork to surface has been measured already for the 3 floors, and you have your concrete here. So that is how you measure for column, beam, and slab, making use of the ADLM plugin, and it's as easy as that. Now, one more thing before we round it up. Now, in a situation where in the beams, I'll come back to beams at this stage. In the beam details, you're given different specification. You're supposed to like measure for all of these parts separately one by one. What you do here is under the beam, yeah, you have beam reinforcement. So for example, we have this here as 2 of y16, yeah. So what you do here is first you scale the page. So you can just pick the stars scale. That'll be 1.35. Okay. So you just pick from this point down to this point. Then the horizontal scale, which is 1 time. I just pick any of this scale, 0.6. Okay. That'll be from this point to this point. Once I'm done with that, I can just come to views, adjust dimensions, make this point 3. Okay, now you see it's not that big. I just turn it off generally here. Now for the beam reinforcement for y16, now for y2 of y16, you see 2 y16. Just come down to reinforcement and beam, turn this on. So beam reinforcement y16. Number of bars should be 2. Diameter is 16. That's easy. Okay, so you just pick the layout. So we have the beam coming from this point here. You can press A on your keyboard, that's arc, to join this arc. Then you would go across till the point it terminates. I think around here. Just double click once you're done with that. Then you look for the next 2 of y16. We have 2 of y16 somewhere here also. So I just pick from this, from the arc. Then you just go to the next 2 of y16. That's here. Can you see how it's going? Then the next 2 of y16. That's from this point. The links still stays the same by using the concrete to measure your links. We want to measure the bars one by one. You can do this. I think this terminates at this point. So look for the next 2 of y16, which is here. That's from this point to this point. So as you are picking all of that, the volume, the weight is increasing. Total weight of that is increasing. So we have 12 by 16. 12 by 16 also. 12 by 16. 12 by 16 to I think this point here. Make sure your lines are straight. If it's not, just turn off the snap and okay, just end it here. So you see, that's how you measure. See, it's increasing. That's how you'll be going for all of your 12 by 16 one by one. So you pick the entire 12 by 16 in your design. So once you pick everything, you can just take the quantities directly to your view here. So that's how you want to pick the beams one by one from your structural drawing. That's how you go about it. Or if these details, if it's the same as y20 or y16, just normal top and bottom dimension and all, you can use the one I explained initially. So that is how you go about your quantity takeoff for this. Now come down to the reports. On the reports page here, now you see for the column, you see your column reinforcement, your slab reinforcement, you've seen everything here. Then for the beam, concrete and column, you've seen it here. So all of these are all in your report sheet. Now, for a quick bonus, now I want to say you've done with all of this. Now, the next plugin here, which is the material plugin for ADLM. Now, what I'll just do it just for one, just a quick intro to it. Now, just come for cement. Cement here, you just drag it into the concrete. So the ratio, that's a mixed ratio, is 1:4. That's 12 sand, 1 of cement, and 4 granite. What is it? And 4 granite. Okay, that's for the concrete and slab. So I'm using 9,000 bags of cement. Now for sharp sand, just drag this sharp sand in. Then the wastage percentage, let's say 1.35. Okay, that's for sharp sand, and your granite. Just drag it in. Okay, so that's how it goes. Then for reinforcement, also just drag it in. But as we proceed with these sessions, we would go about that. So if you have any question on what I've covered so far, you can actually leave your question in the comment section of this video. And kindly like this video and subscribe to this channel if you had found this session on YouTube useful. And also, if you need this plugin, you can always find the link to my WhatsApp or to contact me in the description of this video below, or you can just reach out in the comment section on how to get the plugin, so you can always get yours. I'll be all for the session. Have a wonderful day.